Would you be able
Thanks.
to explain the kind of the investor side of it to it? Because it's almost for basically bank interest rates at the moment are shocking. You know, I've seen one which was 0.1%. So if you got, well, it doesn't really matter how much you got in the bank, but you know, people are looking for somewhere to put their money. And again, property, as you say, people are always going to need houses, but can you kind of explain how that works?
Yeah, I heard something the other day. I loved it. And it was property is the only asset that you can self-isolate in at the moment. I thought that was great. But this was the thing. I looked at like what industry I wanted to back going forwards from a risk perspective. And, you know, the stock markets, I mean, look at oil, what's happened there. You know, you'll have been involved a few years ago when we thought it couldn't get any worse than $20 a barrel. And now, you know, it costs you more money to buy a cappuccino from one of the many outlets available than it will to buy a barrel of oil. It's crazy, unprecedented times, as a lot of people keep saying. But property proves itself time and time again to be an asset that you can, if you buy in the right way, will look after you long into the future. You know, yes, cycles come and go, but on the main, property goes up in value over time, and that's backed by historical statistics. And we don't even buy for capital growth. We're buying for cash flow from what we get per month from the property. So
I was watching Bloomberg. Sorry to jump in. I was watching Bloomberg the other day, and they were talking about the Apple share price. And the point was, they were talking about the potential for a global recession kind of coming up. And the guy was like, yeah, but you can't eat an iPhone. But you get the point, is that when, you know, the shit hits the fan and people suddenly have a lot less money than they did, you need something to eat. It's the whole Warren Buffett thing, that he only invests in specific staples that you know are going to survive. And actually property and food are, you know, two almost rock solid bets in my opinion. And this isn't a plug for you, but I just think, you know, in almost talking through the business strategy side of it, when you're always looking at potential market value and upside, but also, you know, the security of it, I think it's a very smart, wise thing to get into. Sorry, you go.
Yeah. I was just going to say, this is why, you know, having worked in a very, very complex industry like the offshore industry, where there was working with some amazingly clever people coming up with phenomenal designs, and yet we were still struggling to sell products. You know, it was a crowded marketplace with very few USPs. And coming to the property world, and like the demand's there massively. There's not enough houses, so for the people that want to live in them, and there's literally, like, all the metrics point towards it being just a very, very strong market going forwards. And so if you can provide quality houses for the average family, then they are recession proof in that regard, because somebody will always be able to rent a 2-bed house for £500 a month. You know, so that was one of the big reasons we got into it. And in terms of, you asked me about investors, I don't know if you want me to go into
I just think
sort of how investors work with us, but
I think it'd be interesting both how it works and also how it kind of, how you work with investors. Because again, it's that kind of, I think what we're doing, or in asking the question, is trying to help educate people in terms of, you know, I don't, but you know, because I've just started my own thing, but you know, so say if I have money in the bank that the bank itself is not going to give me any return on, you know, you can have the solution for that. But for instance, the 17,000 connections I've got on LinkedIn could be exactly the same. And it was almost where I think it's, you know, it's worth educating people on, you know, different things that are open to them that I don't know the answer to.
Right. So what we do is we bring together our skills in finding deals in good areas, and knowing what to do to them and how to do it. And there's 3 things that you need in property investing. There's time, there's the knowledge to know what to do, and then there's money to actually fund it. And most people don't have all 3. So normally you have to find one of those things. If you've got loads of money, chances are you're either in a very well-paid job and you don't have any time, and you might have no knowledge on property. So you need to find somebody who can put your money to work and make it work better. And that's the fit that we have with our investors. A lot of them are armchair investors who are, as you say, getting less than 1% in the banks, which is below inflation. So effectively their money is being eroded every single year. And we work with investors and offer them a fixed return per year, backed by bricks and mortar. So we'll find a deal, we'll secure it, we'll price up the renovation costs, and then we'll have done our due diligence and research to know at the end of that process, what will that property be worth and what sort of tenant, what can we rent that property for? To do that deal, let's say we need, it could be £25,000, it could be £50,000. We have investors who maybe have that money sat in a bank, earning nothing. And what we're able to do, because we're maximizing the value of it and putting it into a property that will be worth a lot more, we can offer a fixed return of anywhere from sort of 6 to 10%.
Wow.
And that gets paid either monthly or rolled up and paid annually. And so for the investor, effectively, rather than leaving it in the bank, they can see what it's being put into. They can be part of helping solve the housing crisis, and bringing stock back into mainly northern towns where people are desperate for homes. So it's a phenomenal exchange in offerings. Yeah.
It's with any product, you're always looking at different ways that, what problem do you solve? And the truth is you solve about 6 of them. And it does make perfect kind of sense. And one of the things that I've found when, I'm helping people with different companies is that I've always rolled my sleeves up, as you'll know, but it's almost, I think people, they do want things doing for them. So they want to know that they're working with someone credible that knows what they're doing. But actually in your case, they probably they might choose to get more involved just as like a hobby. It's almost like a semi-retirement thing. But actually, if they wanted to, I trust Charlie, I know what he's doing, and then it's just, I think that is a major part of the service offering that, it's worth kind of